Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Morning After Recap Show brought to you by IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang. It is Sunday, November 9th. Notre Dame beats Navy 49-10. That is number 10. Notre Dame beats Navy 49-10. With BYU losing, it looks like they are going to bump up in the rankings a little bit in the upcoming College Football Playoff Committee selection show. That's on Tuesday, I believe it is. So that'll be interesting to track as they head to Pitt next week. And Pitt's a ranked team right now. They're on a bye, so they're going to probably stay ranked there. And that's going to be very interesting. But we're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about Jeremiah Love being amazing. We're going to talk about Notre Dame's defense having a good performance against Navy and Chris Ash's first debut against the Naval Academy's offense. And then anything else that you guys want to talk about in the chat. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in this morning. If you like what you hear, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. So it is. We go live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. As always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, which is founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. As you heard last night, the Black Friday sale is live now, and you will be getting 49% off of all online purchases using code ISD. That's live from now until Thanksgiving. Notre Dame played Navy a little bit earlier in the schedule, so you get the Black Friday sale for like weeks ahead of what you got last year with Army. Coincidentally, they also had 49%. And because it's early, then you can now get that shopping done for you, your husband, father, son, nephew, and the unlikable uncle that you will see on Thanksgiving. Known for their Lex Melville craftsmanship using the finest fabrics, ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton t-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo dress shirt available for purchase online. So go to esqclothing.com, use code ISD for 49% off the Black Friday sale that's going on through Thanksgiving. And it is not valid on custom items or gift cards. So esqclothing.com. Mike Lockhart says, I thought the Irish had a pretty good game last night. I'm glad Mike approved of that. It was certainly a fun game to watch. There was a lot going on, a lot of good stuff that you saw from Notre Dame. I think, the early start against Navy's offense, I never really overreact too much to that because it's kind of a yearly thing. First of all, Navy puts in a bunch of stuff that's kind of unique to Notre Dame. I think they've done it pretty much every year since forever. And especially with kind of the new staff and, what they've got. So that they do some different things. Plus with the new quarterback, with Blake Horvath not playing. And so they had a new quarterback in the game. So they're going to put in a package that's unique to him, right? Braxton Woodson is a good runner, as we saw. He can run the ball really well. He's very adept at. I thought he was a good passer. So they could try things. He had a couple drops in this game that hurt him from his overall numbers. Viable player. So the defense is always going to start slow-ish, right? Navy didn't turn the ball over like they did last year, which was very different. So the defense had to actually get stops in order to get Navy off the field. So I think that's a relevant thing to talk about. So I thought the defense played well. Aside from the 1 3-and-out that Notre Dame had on offense, where, let's be honest, you're just kind of calling the wrong plays at that point. Obviously, they were very efficient. CJ Carr, 13 of 16 for 228 yards, or 218 yards, 3 touchdowns, 257.6 passer rating. Jeremiah Love has the electric run for 48 yards when he's sitting on a defender, and then he runs into the end zone. Notre Dame 502 yards of offense, Navy 228. Notre Dame 8.8 yards per play, Navy 4.1 yards per play. Notre Dame outrushes Navy in the game, 249 to 206. You're usually going to win. You're usually going to beat Navy when those numbers are like that. And Notre Dame had the time possession edge, 30 minutes, 37 seconds to 29 and 23 seconds. So as clean a game as you can have against an opponent like Navy, who makes things obviously very difficult. Notre Dame is able to rest players, right? So you get to get some rest for a lot of your starters. I think Jeremiah Love was only in for 24 plays. I think he only had 14 touches in the game. That's what you want to see. Not a ton of touches for Jadarian Price either. Christian Gray is able to sit. Boubacar Traore is able to sit. You get guys like Leonard Moore out of the game. You get a lot of snaps for guys like Josh Burnham and Junior Tuihalamaka, who are very good against Navy, and they have been in the past. They were last year. And so, yeah, you move on to Pitt. So that's kind of what everyone is talking about. Rajon's asking, was Traore hurt, or was Marcus Freeman saving him for Pitt to have the best version of him for that game? Don't believe he was hurt. I did hear he was like rolling around in the snow at the end of the game with Christian Gray. So obviously that's appears to be all right, right? If you're doing that sort of thing, you're pretty much okay. CFP Hertz points out, Freeman said in the postgame, Traore wasn't hurt. They held him out because they didn't think the game plan fit his play style. Rajon asked about third downs. Marcus Freeman did say they had some third down packages for him, but they didn't really need to go into that. They didn't really have to get into the third down packages for Traore. Obviously, Tuihalamaka and Burnham were playing really well at that point. It's just, not a lot of obvious passing downs for Navy either. And like, why put him in at the end of the, like, if the thing is, it gets to the point where if you haven't played him by the end of like the first half, then why put him in the game at that point? He's obviously gotten cold. He hasn't really been playing. Why insert him into the game when Burnham and Tuihalamaka have been in there the whole time? Just let them go. If it's a game off for Traore, you also have to remember too, Traore's had a knee injury last year. And you're playing Navy. And look, we saw cuts, right? Navy is cutting a ton in this game. That's not something that Boubacar Traore needs. He had an ACL problem last year. He doesn't need offensive linemen diving at his knees on passing downs. He doesn't need that. So I'm fine to let him sit, and he's going to be ready to go against Pitt. So, yeah, Eric ND says, eagerly awaiting Ari Wasserman's tantrum this week when Louisville is ranked behind Miami, despite owning the head-to-head victory. Yeah, I'm sure Ari's going to beat that drum real hard for Louisville to stay over Miami. I'm sure he's going to beat it real hard. One on the road, Eric. I'm sure he's going to do that. Isaac K says, weather looks good for next week. Field has only been played on once since being resodded. Field shouldn't be an issue. Yeah. We had Dave Caulfield on the show last night. He was in the chat. He told us the weather looks pretty good at the moment. So that's a good thing for Notre Dame. I don't want to deal with the pit, the surface. I don't like dealing with pit bad surfaces. Eric ND says, only thing worse than ACC teams are the ACC officials. No penalties for Notre Dame last night. I'm sure it was a coincidence. I honestly, though, I think that when it's raining and in bad like that, like a lot of the little, borderline holding stuff, they let go because of the weather. Like, it's just guys are slipping around. You can't be super precise. It's not that kind of game. I think Navy only had a handful of penalties themselves. Let me just – a couple – I know they had 2 PI penalties that were pretty clear-cut, penalties on the game. There we go. They had 6 for 57. Two of those were PIs. And then they had 1 that was roughing the passer. So that's 3 penalties right there. And then I think they had some procedure stuff. They had an illegal shift penalty that I thought was kind of like, I didn't really see that, but it is what it is. But it was a fairly clean game besides for the pass interference stuff. Kev561 says, with all the talk about Notre Dame finally having a quarterback making those throws and Love's weekly highlight runs, is KVA's All-American level play the last few weeks getting overlooked? I got not really overlooked. I think we talk about it. I think the thing with KVA is he shares snaps. So he's not out there a ton. In this game, he had 5 tackles, 1 solo tackle, 1 tackle for loss. I think just the violence that he plays with, he's just that kind of guy where, I thought early in the game there was some catching, there was some waiting, there was some unsure stuff. I think it all changed on that one play where they tried to run option and he blows up the slot back right into the quarterback, and then he gets the tackle for loss. That's the tackle for loss in the game. I think that's when things felt like there was a shift where it's like, okay, we're done. We're done trying to read this out and all those other things. I'm just going to blow you up. I'm going to blow up your spot, and we're gonna go on and win the game. Honestly, though, I think like one of the underrated parts of this is KVA getting Madden Faremo kind of engaged and activated in the games, because Framo's always out there with KVA. And so he's able to get, like, Framo had 4 tackles in this game. Once, anytime you can get a young player exposure to Navy and how they run their offense, because Notre Dame plays them every year, like, that's a good thing, right? So Framo goes in there and gets 4 tackles in this game. He's playing next to KVA for a lot of the time. And those two obviously have a rapport. They're both Southern California guys, right? They're both Polynesian kids. So the fact that they have that kind of thing going on, that's kind of an underrated aspect of KVA, is that he has a connection with one of Notre Dame's younger, most talented defenders. So that's a good thing, right? That's going to be a good thing. Mike Leichhardt says, what is Irish rank now? I think they're going to go up to at least 9. I think BYU is going to fall out. They didn't look good. And here's the other part. When you're undefeated, and what was BYU, 7, 8? Like, when you're undefeated and you're 7, the committee is obviously skeptical, right? So they're not giving them any sort of benefit of the doubt, right? Like, they're like, you're undefeated, but we're monitoring. That's the committee's stance. They go and they lose by 3 touchdowns. Never looked really competitive in the game, besides some moments defensively that were good for them. But it didn't look great, you know? And so I think Notre Dame jumps them. I don't think anyone's going to jump over them. The teams that would have, like Oklahoma, and I think who are people complaining about? Oklahoma, and who was 12? Oh, this is such a bummer that I'm forgetting this. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. It was, let me see, Oklahoma and, Texas. Yeah, they didn't play. So those teams didn't play. So, I mean, they'll all bump up, and then you know, we'll see what goes on from there. But yeah, I mean, plus Notre Dame looked good, right? They look dominant. So they're not trying to drop them. They're not trying to drop them at all. Ron K says, love watching the second and third stringers. Great game last night. Kenny Minchie, highest graded Notre Dame offensive player. He's 3 of 3 for 35 yards. He had a scramble, really nice scramble for 13 yards. I mean, the grading thing is kind of tongue in cheek, because, you know, he wasn't really out there, but you know, like, he always looks good. If there was a way to keep him, I swear that'd be awesome. He's a good player, man. He's a good player. CFP Hurt says, I think the committee will have Notre Dame at 9. Greg Wasserman says, didn't Jamie say Navy cut block last week when I complained about Navy cut blocking? I think Jamie said he can't do that anymore because they made it illegal. I think it was on run plays where you can't. And I think in the passing game is when they were doing it. They did it a ton on the passing plays. And so I don't know if there's a distinction in the rule book between cutting on runs and cutting in the passing game. They did it multiple times. So I assume if it was illegal, Notre Dame staff would have been like, hey, they're cutting us. You can't do that. And then they did it again with no call. So I just assumed that when they were doing it in the legal way. It's just not something that I think a guy like Boubacar Traore needs to be a part of. So, yeah, Drejon says that was part of the point of keeping him out. Jacob Paulus, Penn State, choke job, choke artist Kings. That's Penn State for you against – it doesn't matter who the coaches are, apparently. Like I said, I don't know how you let the guy come down and bounce. He's underneath. You're underneath him as he makes the catch. Knock him out of bounds, man. Knock him into the stands. How does he let him come down? I don't understand. Like I said, they work on this sort of thing. Ron K says Jaden Osbury was awesome last night. Jaden Osbury, 8 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 forced fumble on the game. He was activated. He played he noted he played the rover role, which is a little bit different. He played rover against Navy in this game. So that's kind of like an outside, almost like a nickel. Like, basically he played the JOK type position against Navy last night. And obviously he had a great night, as Ron pointed out here. So that's a great point by him. So yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good to get him involved. And this is why you want those versatile linebackers, right? You have 4. This is a perfect game to have 4 really good linebackers against an opponent like Navy. And it's great that, again, they were able to get Matt Framo involved, because now that makes 5. He's going to be ready to go for next year. And Notre Dame's entire linebacking core should be back. I mean, Jalen Sneed has years of eligibility. Let's see what he wants to do. But he can technically come back next year. Not even technically. He just can. He can just come back next year if he wants to. We'll see how that goes. But Notre Dame's, the other 4 guys are all eligible to come back. I think Bowen comes back. I think that's kind of a no-brainer, given the type of player, type of position that he plays. I think he can make a lot of money as Notre Dame, a returning captain for Notre Dame at linebacker. KVA is only a sophomore. Jay Nosberry is the kind of guy that'll come back, and then you have Man Framo just waiting. So we'll see what happens with Jalen Sneed, but Notre Dame's really healthy at linebacker next year. Eric ND says, last 7 games, Notre Dame has allowed a total of 21 points in the second half, 3 per game. Besides, perhaps Ash knows what he's doing after all. I mean, it's definitely improved, right? Like, you go back to the second half of Purdue. I mean, it's definitely gotten better. And we said at the time, there were things that happened in that Purdue game that looked really good. I mean, the performance against Arkansas is really good. The performance against NC State is really good. I think that the performance against USC was even good. I think that, USC leads the nation in yards per play, and Notre Dame had better yards per play than USC did in that game. Like the Arkansas game, the NC State game, the USC game, and then, the Boise State game, you only give up 7. Like, these are all reasons why Notre Dame ends up in the top 10 in the college football playoff. Committee obviously recognizes that, and look, we've pounded the drum. How you play is important. How you play matters. And the thing about Notre Dame in the past, when they've wanted to get in, when they've wanted to get into the college football playoff with that loss or whatever it might be, they've had wins, but they haven't had these impressive performances. These are impressive performances. Notre Dame is playing like one of the best teams in the nation right now. That's just true. And the committee looks at that. So for people like Ari and whoever else is just counting wins and looking at resume and in a vacuum, the committee looks at more things than that. And it's funny to me that the charge was the committee didn't think it through. No, they thought it through more than you did, because look at how they're playing. And you got to take that into account. Notre Dame's defense is playing at a top 15, top 10 level right now. They just are. Number 3 in the nation. Arkansas, number 3 in the nation. Yards per play, 13 points. It just is what it is. Kev561 says KVA reminds him of Leofau when Leofau was on point, reckless. Yeah, I mean, he's just a talented player, man. He sees it, he goes. Great instincts. Just born to be a football player. Kev561, are we going to start to talk about why Aeneas Williams doesn't get more snaps conversation? Are we going to have the Aeneas Williams gets more snaps? So you look at him last night. Look great, right? Can't take anything away from that, right? He's got 5 carries for 72. He had a 54-yard run. Shot out of a cannon. Shot out of a cannon before that. I mean, he looked really good. As quick and explosive as he's ever looked, right? And I think he's not as thick as he was last year. I think he's probably dropped like maybe 5 pounds, 7 pounds, something like that. But he's not as thick as he was. Looks slimmer. Looks sleeker, still looks powerful, right? So it still looks like a good quality back, like a better version. Looks like a better version of what he was last year. The question is, and it's an obvious question. You want him to get the ball over Jeremiah Love? You want him to get the ball over Jadarian Price, who we are having conversations that might be a better running back than Jeremiah Love early in the year? We were having that conversation. That's the problem. But everyone is, oh, he's going to transfer. Well, maybe he will, right? I don't know. I don't have insight into his thinking. But if I'm him, if I'm Logan James, if I'm Kedron Young, you're looking at, okay, if you're a top 2 back at Notre Dame, you're getting touches, and you're getting a lot of touches. And not just that, but you're going to get touches in a CJ Carr offense where, this year teams are going to be like, okay, we'll let CJ Carr beat us. Next year, that's not going to be viable. It's not going to be a viable strategy to say, oh, we're going to let CJ Carr beat us. That's not going to work. So there's going to be favorable situations for you to run the ball as a running back. So if you're a top 2 back in the Notre Dame offense, that is a prime position right now. So, look, if Notre Dame brings in someone from the portal, then we might see some decisions be made. But look, he got in the game and he looked good. So to your point, it's an obvious one, right? It's obvious. Everyone who's watching it says, well, he looks good. Maybe we should play him. But you've got 2 of the best backs in the nation. It's just hard to it's like being a corner. And like if they had Ben Morrison and Leonard Moore playing side by side, it's like, well, unfortunately, those guys are awesome. So that's the deal. And Kev says that we have the best running back duo in the country. It's true. It just is, right? I feel fine if they put Aeneas Williams in the game. It's just hard to justify that, everyone's kind of talking about the Love and Price situation. Randall L asks, is Ash getting his feet under him one of the greatest coaching comebacks in Notre Dame history? I thought that guy was toast. Coaching comebacks. It's definitely one of the more drastic ones, right? People are having the BVG conversation, and it's obviously very different than that, right? I think, again, and I've given him credit. You do give him credit. You have to give him credit. He adjusted. He figured it out. He figured out what he had. He figured out what wasn't working, and he went away from it. That's not like everything I think he does is perfect. I don't. But I didn't think everything Al Golden did was perfect either. Obviously, he was very good. But I didn't like going man at the end of the first half. Right? That didn't make sense to me, given the fact that this quarterback in the conditions is not going to dink and dunk them down the field. And if he does, congratulations. Good job by you, and you move on. But you play man and you lose contain. You don't have a spy. And he runs for 41 yards. It gets him in the field goal range. That stuff doesn't make sense to me. But like you said, we're talking about 7 games of just good football by the defense. They gave up more than 20 points one time to the number 1 offense in the country. So, and even then, it was 24 points, right? And they gave up 41 against Texas A&M. So there's been a complete change. I don't know if it was one of the great coaching reversals, but it's a great job. He's doing a phenomenal job. And I don't understand how people, it's weird to me when you put something out on Twitter, like, I didn't like that they, did the thing with the man-to-man. And it was like Chris, but I thought Chris Ash was good. Chris Ash, it's just a bad series, and not even a bad series. It's just a bad call in the moment. That can happen. It can happen, right? I thought it was a little weird. That's all. So that's my take on Chris Ash. Doing a really good job. The turnaround that Chris Ash made is why Notre Dame is ranked 10 and will be ranked 9. That is, I think, 100% true. I think it's undeniable because Notre Dame's had a good offense this whole time. They need to be a playoff viable team. They needed the defense turnaround. They did, and so Chris Ash is the reason Notre Dame is a playoff team right now. Jacob Paulus says, not ragging on him, but Fields dropping the easiest ball of the night was funny. Even he smiled after that, but only funny because Notre Dame was dominating. It was funny because he can't get over 100 yards. The guy has multiple explosive catches, can't get over 100 yards. And I thought last night was like the sure thing. And I mean, he dropped the one. It would have been, he had finished with 97 yards. He would have got over 100. Doesn't have a ton of touchdowns either, which is funny. I mean, Ty Washington scoring a touchdown before Eli Raridan. I don't think anyone cares. And I think that's great for Ty Washington to get in the end zone like he did. Because, look, I mean, the guy comes in and he blocks, right? And he doesn't get the ball thrown to him that much. And he gets a chance to get in the end zone. I think that's great. So, but it's just, it's funny to me, as you point out. It's a funny thing that's going on with Notre Dame right now. R. Zalamea says, problem with blowout wins is that it leads naysayers to the conclusion that the opposing team must not have been that good anyways. Double-edged sword. But what naysayers? And do any of them matter, right? Like, who's the naysayer? Like, Ari? Other national figures? They don't matter. They're not important. The committee likes it. If the committee likes it, who cares? Part of it too is, and you kind of see this, like I see this or I notice it just because I'm in the media space, but it's like, look, what gets you views, man? What gets you people passing around your clip that you put online? Hating on Notre Dame does. It just does. That's the nature of the media environment that we're in right now, is you are incentivized to trash on the brand that is Notre Dame. Because there are a lot more. But look, I can post. I posted. I don't recommend anyone does this, but like, if I posted Notre Dame's schedule, they announced that they're going to play Auburn, and I posted the schedule, who they're scheduled to play, and that's it in 2028. And it was Miami, it was Auburn, it was Texas. There was another opponent there. It might be Florida State was on the 28 thing. And then I said, in USC, if they're still interested in doing that. And it's like all the hate that you get from, like, in the replies from all these different fan bases, where I'm just posting Notre Dame's schedule. That's all I'm doing. I'm not saying anything else. And people just flood you with interactions that I don't want. Like, I don't want to hear from you about this. But, like, that's the sort of thing that you do. And when you are in the national media space, and Josh Pate, right? Like, he picked against Notre Dame a ton last year, right? Why do you do that? Well, Notre Dame fans, they're going to come and they're going to say, like, what's your problem? Like, that's the point. That is the point of it. And so to get to my point, it's like, media figures, they don't matter. That's why I don't watch a ton of national stuff. I don't watch that. I watch some Cover 3 sometimes, but then after the USC game, which is one of the better wins of the day, and it's a rivalry and two ranked teams, and they didn't really talk about it. So it's like, okay, if they're not interested to talk about the actual games, but then you want to, like, debate on Notre Dame's inclusion and where they were in the playoffs, well, then I don't really care, because you're not talking about the games. You obviously didn't think about it. You obviously didn't give it a ton of time. So you can't really evaluate them to me. So I don't need to bother. And so that's kind of how I see it. That's why you want to go, like, that's for me. People, like, if you want to learn about Notre Dame, don't listen to them. Go local, right? However, please watch our show, like and subscribe. I mean, I feel like we cover Notre Dame as well as anybody. But, like, find someone who watches Notre Dame and knows how well the team is playing. Going national is it's going to make you mad because they don't follow the team as closely. I mean, they physically cannot. Like, it's just you're not going to get the insight. You're not going to get the amount of specifics. It's not going to be catered to you specifically. And so, it's not as good of a product, in my opinion. When speaking about your team in particular. And it's, that works for your favorite football team. It works for your chocolate as well. You want to go smaller. You want to go to someone who will cater to your needs specifically and what you are looking for. See's Candies, they make it in bulk. It's not for you. Can't make it specifically for you, but you know who can? Goods Candies. It's a small Indiana-based chocolate company with recipes going back nearly 100 years. They're a small batch producer of decadent confections ranging from toffee to cream centers to their latest offering, peanut butter bombs. Old saying goes, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Goods Candies actually want you to know what you are getting. Its cream centers have a unique design, so you'll always know what's waiting inside. All varieties are offered in milk and dark chocolate. For the business listeners, Goods Candies offers customized chocolate bar gift boxes. See what I'm saying? Chocolate customized. These aren't customized wrappers like you get at the bank. They are customized chocolate bars that include your logo or a message. These make an ideal client gift, and Goods Candies can handle all shipping for you. Their website is www.goodscandies.com. Viewers can save 20% through the year. Promo code ISD. Place your order online or reach out to Goods Candies at goodscandies.com with questions. If you got to get something for your kid's teacher or anything like that, their coach, whoever it might be, Goods Candies. They'll take care of you over there. CFB Hertz says John Bryce had some interesting insights into the college football ranking process. Apparently last year, OSU and Notre Dame had the best arguments to be 1 and 2 based on the committee's criteria. Yeah, I think it was how you play relative to other teams, which again, Arkansas, NC State, it matters. It matters. Billy Blue says positive vibes only after a dominant performance, but are we monitoring the interior on both sides of the ball? I'm not monitoring the interior of the D-line. It's tough. It's playing Navy like that. It's difficult, especially when it's going to be wet, right? Like that, they're just running right at you. Like I don't take anything away from the D-line going forward from this game. And I think every conventional offense they've played recently, they've done a good job. So I'm not monitoring them in the sense that like I'm looking side eye at them. The O-line is a little bit different. The good part though is you got a bunch of new players and they got to just clean up their assignments, man. We talked about it on the show last night. There's too many busts. There's too many just blown assignments, right? They got to get that cleaned up, right? The other good part is like Sullivan Absher. His good reps are good. Really good. Gerby Lambert, his good reps are good. Joe Otting's good reps are good. There's too many misses. They got to clean up the misses. The good part is that you're not seeing it really from Emil Wagner and Anthony Knapp. Like they've been pretty steady, right? And we're not seeing as many misses from Gerby Lambert either anymore. So that's a good part, right? So they just need to get these guys more snaps, in my opinion. And the other part too is teams are so, especially the last two teams, are so clearly like we are not going to give you light box. We are not going to give you even numbers. Like you're going to have to run at us with when we are outnumbering you, basically. I mean, it's like early in the game, right? Navy's sitting there with 8 in the box and Notre Dame's got blocking with 6. That's not just going to work. It just isn't. But then, CJ Carr throws for 218 yards in 16 attempts. Well over 10 yards per attempt, right? Which is kind of like 10 yards per attempt is the elite of the elite. And he's sitting there at 218 with 16. So, I mean, I don't want to go on and say like, oh, that I'm totally fine with the O-line play and the running game and it's no problem and people need to stop worrying. Like, I don't think that's true. I think they do need to play better, right? But I also understand like Navy and Boston College pretty clearly said we are dropping a safety and we are going to make it very, very difficult for you. So that's what happened. But thank you for the question, Billy. That's a good question. It's a fair question. Oscar says, my conspiracy theory is that Freeman took over defensive management duties and anytime they stink, it's Marcus Freeman giving Ash another try. I don't think that's what happened, but that's what a lot of people like to say. Personally, I think that's just confirmation bias. not wanting to give Ash credit when everyone kind of pooped on him earlier in the year. Envy Irish says a lot of RPO last night. Game plan specific or Denbrock trusting Carr to make the right reads after more experience in the Miami game. I think it's game plan specific because Navy did a pretty good job early of showing a look and then dropping out of it. And so what you do when they're doing this post snap. So what you do is you input RPO into the running game where it's like, hey, if they show something and then they give that to you post snap, then we can run this play. But if they show something and they give you something else post snap, well, then we'll pull it and throw, that kind of thing. And so it's smart, right? I mean, Navy in the beginning, they were showing heat and then dropping out of it, right? So there's a way to deal with that, and that's what Notre Dame did. Which is a good job by the staff. Kev says Jason Rogers, ESPN, constantly sounds off on Texas Oklahoma thing. Should be ahead. Let me remind you, he said second week of September, he was Nussmeier, far away the best quarterback in the country. Yeah, people just say stuff sometimes. People just say stuff. Ron K, Devontae Smith. Get up here. There we go. Devontae Smith played well last night. Hopefully he can stay healthy because he has a nice chess piece for the defense. Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. He's gotten a lot of snaps. He was physical last night. That's what you need. And it's good for Dallas Golden too, to see an older player and kind of be a mentee to him. So that's a good deal. Ron K says Ash for president. He's growing on me. Interesting. Monitoring. Mitchell Vahalik says I may have called him Chris Van Gorder to Greg via DM in the aftermath of A&M. Glad to be wrong. I mean, I think a lot of people, right? I mean, you call it like you see it. I mean, you can only report on and analyze what you're showing, right? It was bad. A&M was bad. It's bad tape. Miami was pretty bad tape. It just was. You got to call it like you see it. If they play better, you play better. That's why people were like, there were comments on the board, comments and on Twitter about what do you want, right? Like, do you want the defense to get better, or do you want them to play bad enough that Chris Ash gets fired? It's like, why do I need Chris Ash to get fired? I don't even get fired. I don't want that. I want the team to be good. Why? I have no problem with Chris Ash. Why do I care? If he does a good job, he does a good job. Long may it continue. That's where I come out on this stuff. I don't have a problem with any coach. If you're going to put out good product, and they have for the last 7 games, and not just that, the tape looks good. That's the difference. It's not just that they're playing well, or that the output is good, or the production, or whatever it might be. The tape looks good also. And when the tape looks good, I'm on board, man. I'm on board. Michael Hahn says Notre Dame has the 14th strongest schedule right now per SP Plus, which is usually college football analytics Bible when Notre Dame does well in it. It's in the past, Notre Dame hasn't done well in it, so that's a good point on them being on doing a good job on SP Plus. The metrics like Notre Dame a lot. Eric ND says Hollywood Smothers would be good. Would love to steal Coleman from Auburn for Carr to throw to. I don't know, man. It's hard to get people away from Auburn. They've got some cash. And plus that Ashton Daniels looks like a good quarterback too. But we'll see. I mean, obviously they're going through a coaching change. That's going to matter. Hollywood Smothers would be fun. It's a good player. I don't know if anything's going on there. But I mean, it's, Notre Dame played them, so they scouted him, right? They get guys from ACC a lot. Let's see. Rajon says Sports Reference has Notre Dame schedule number 7. Nicholas, I'll just say Nicholas, 5862. I think Williams will stay next year. Clearly wants his degree from Notre Dame, and there's a clear path to him being starter. There's a clear path to him being number 2, or one of the top 2, right? I don't know about starter or whatever, but I do think like clear path to being a top 2 running back, which is what you want, because then you're getting a lot of carries. Ron K says, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you're having a good time. Andrew Rhodes says, haters gonna hate, potatoes gonna potate. Let's go. Haters gonna potate. Envy Irish says, USC showing up on the FBS future schedules website, site city to be determined. Why would you do that? I don't understand. First of all, it's not even good for USC. USC should play they should want to play at the Coliseum. Notre Dame struggles there. Historically struggles in the Coliseum. Like, Notre Dame in the Coliseum in November is like one of the best things USC has going for them. All they do is complain about travel, and Notre Dame has to travel to LA in November at the end of the year when they're flying all over the country. What a bunch of goofballs, man. What a goofball, changing the quarterback's number to the punter's number. There's no honor, There's no honor in college football anymore. Well, I take that back. There's no honor in USC football right now. Playing a guy you said was out. Unbecoming, man. Unbecoming. Eric ND96 says, any word on when the rumored 2026 neutral site game USC will be played Thanksgiving weekend still after their Big Ten slate? I have no idea. I have no idea. So I haven't heard anything about that, and I don't really ask about that. Yeah, Vision Poet says Louisville and BYU fans super quiet this week on Twitter. Louisville, man. People are getting on me about Louisville. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Kev561 says, what do you think of Notre Dame Pass Pro? Thought it's been much better. The Pass Pro has been amazing. We talked about it last night on the show. 4 hits for CJ Carr all season. Because Jamie brought up the point, like, when has CJ Carr been absolutely crushed? Like after a throw or whatever it might be, just lit up, right? It just doesn't happen. They've got him down for 4 hits. Let's look at pass and pressure and depth in this game. I know he dropped back 16 times. I know he was pressured on 2. So 2 pressures. Let's see the blocking. Let's see the Pass Pro adventures in PFF grading. Pass blocking grade. Anthony Knapp, 85.1. Absher, 83.2. Wagner, 81.1. Lambert, 74.4. Lambert gave up 1 pressure. And let's see. Otting, 63. See, that's weird. Otting gave up no pressures, 63 grade. I don't know how that works. They've got Carr down for no hits, but I think he did get hit once. The thing is, though, is it's no hits allowed. I guess it's probably hits allowed by the quarterback or by the offensive line. So if, like, someone comes free, quarterback gets hit, but you can't assign it to any of the linemen if they're blocking somebody. So, that's something to monitor, but they've been doing a good job. I mean, I can't remember. I can't think of a game other than the Miami game at times, obviously at the end, when you thought to yourself, the Notre Dame can't do anything because they can't block these guys, So that's not been the case. I think they've done a real good job in Pass Pro. Mike says, what are your thoughts on Price will be back and who our backfill will be next year? So my guess is it's hard because Price is a guy that could have left last year, could have left this year, stayed. And it's like you kind of hear things about how he got advice from people that maybe you should leave, but he decided to stay. So I think he could, I think he's in line to get his degree. So that's not a question. I think he can get his degree probably in the spring. So that's not a factor in this. If he were to come back, he'd get a ton of money from Notre Dame, a lot of money. Does he want, a couple $1 million from Notre Dame and 160 carries? Does he want that? Right? Or do you want to go to the NFL, go in the second round, and start that clock? Right? Would you rather get those carries in the NFL, or would you rather start, or would you rather get him at Notre Dame? I mean, he could. How much do things like national titles matter to him? That's a thing that's just unknown. Because I mean, if Jadarian Price comes back next year, I think Notre Dame's offensive line is going to be very good. Obviously, you have CJ Carr. He's good, right? So you've got the running game and the passing game kind of working in unison there. He could run for 1,500 yards. He could run for 1,400 yards. He could win the Doak Walker, right? I don't see him as like a Heisman guy, but he returns kickoffs. I mean, if he's returning kickoffs for touchdowns, running for 1,400 yards, I mean, he could be a first-team All-American. Does that matter to him? Does he want to be a first-team All-American running back at Notre Dame? Does he want to win a national title? Like, does he want to win the Doak Walker? I don't know. I don't know kind of where that stuff matters to him, right? I think if he did leave, it would make sense. If he's going to be a second-round pick, makes a ton of sense, But it's like, what does he want to do? What's important to him? And if he did leave, I wouldn't think anything negative about it. Makes sense to me. He's a good player, and he's done well, and he's improved. So that's something. Al Gonzo says Sevillano did not look ready for prime time. Yeah, I agree. Look, good they gave him a shot. Like Jamie said, I thought Mookum looked better, and that's something that he should feel good about. Vision Poet says Greg Wasserman better than Ari Wasserman. Agree. Ari doesn't listen to our show. Greg's here all the time. Coach Hump says, do you know how to change the setting to have the like button take other shapes when it is clicked on, such as a football? I do not know anything about that. I'm trying to figure out how to get people's screen names up here instead of their usernames or whatever that is. It's annoying to me. The funny thing is, if you leave a super chat, the super chats come in and it's like the normal way. And now, but like the regular comments are not like that. Vision Poet says people wanted Freeman fired the first time he ran the dime package and dropped Foskey in coverage. That's right. No, the dollar package, the dollar. It's true. I mean, he did. Freeman went through the same thing. He tried to run dollar at Notre Dame in 2021, and it didn't work. And he got out of it, and the defense was much better after that. So there's a similar, through line there. Similar trajectory for those guys. Oscar says, do we lose anyone in the class if Sieg joins the class? There might be some. So I don't know who that would be, but basically, I think there's this idea, and I say idea as I don't want it to sound negative, like I know this is not true or whatever, but I think there's an idea out there that the money is all allocated for. So if Sieg joins the class, then that money, they got to find money from somewhere else, and if that might come from another player, which is so I don't know. It's above. It's not a. I mean, it's definitely above my pay grade because I don't get paid for that. But it's just like that's not something that I pay a ton of attention to. I think John Bryce is good for that stuff. You could ask John about that. So yeah, Vision Poet says hit the like. It's free. It is free. We like free things. You know what else is free? The Will House Pickleball Clinic that's taking place on Syracuse weekend. And you can do that if you're into pickleball and you're trying to get better at pickleball. Then show up to the Syracuse game. It's the last home game of the year, and you can take advantage of the pickleball community that they're building over there at H2 Pickleball, founded by Notre Dame alum Todd Hill. He's teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will Howes, who's a top 10 pickleball pro, to bring Notre Dame fans to the Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball? Membership is free, and members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. The next event will be a Will Howes Pickleball Clinic on the Friday before the Syracuse game. Members can also get discounted tickets to the Syracuse game. Contact Todd at h2pickleball.com or call him at 574-339-5195 to join the league. Be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka, Indiana. Thank you for that. Thank you for that comment. Allowed me to do a nice little segue. Oh, Vamos Irish says Notre Dame USC playing at the Coliseum in Rome. That'd be kind of sick. Jason Warnock says, is there any chance Notre Dame can keep Love? Yes. Yes, they can. If they pay him $40 million, then I think there's a chance. There is not a chance. Rajon says Carr only gets crushed when he runs. Needs to work on slides. Yes, needs to be careful. Greg Washington says, I like how Sims was complaining about Navy scratching a player an hour before the game time and how it was unfair to sports bettors. Whatever, man. Like, if the kid wasn't ready, the kid wasn't ready. Like, look, God bless you if you're betting on these games. These are high school or these are college football games, man. Like, if they thought he would play and he's not going to play, then I mean, he tried to play and he didn't. Like, I don't, it's hard, but that's the deal. Jacob Paulus says Otting missed that block where JD got tackled from behind when it looked like he was going to score for sure. Everyone else blocked it. Yeah, it's kind of stuff like that on the offensive line. Just gotta clean that up. JD Price is walking into the end zone. Price is walking it in as an end zone. Jacob Paul says, I doubt Price gets 160 carries as a rookie in the NFL. Right, but like he's not going to get 160 carries in the NFL, but he will have an NFL contract, which is kind of the deal. Greg Wasserman says sports betting will help ruin sports. Wait until sports point shaving and fixing becomes a bigger problem. Don't fool yourself. There's too much money to be blown on betting. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously ways to shave points, It's hard. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm not someone who gambles. I've never gambled. Like, I don't think about that stuff. I don't think about betting lines. I don't think about any of those things. It's never been a part of my life. So, Rajon says last night Price didn't drop the ball, but God dropped his prices. Let's go. 49% off esqclothing.com. Use code ISD from now until Thanksgiving. Eric ND says, thanks, Greg, plus the producer, being me, for these Sunday shows. Love it when the Sunday morning coffee. Yeah, I like talking Notre Dame in the morning, and I think everyone does. Like, I think because especially for night games, right? Like, if you're on the East Coast, it's like 11 p.m. Right? You want to go to bed. You got to go to bed. So you talk about the game then, and maybe you'd like to talk about it more, but you got to go to bed and you got to do those things. So here you're gonna wake up, and you're gonna wake up and talk about Notre Dame football. Greg Wasserman says, I think Price should return, but it's up to him. Notre Dame's O-line should be solid, and Carr is back. Yeah, I mean, they should be really good next year. Good up Knapp. It depends. I mean, I guess it depends what happens with Strouth and Wagner. The thing with Strouth is, like, he's Notre Dame's. He's been Notre Dame's best O-lineman this year. But what does that mean in terms of his draft stock? Like, he's a guard. I would think that I would think that he can still improve his draft stock. And it's like Notre Dame players leaving eligibility on the table as O-lineman is like a pretty rare thing or pretty new thing that didn't used to happen. It didn't used to happen. They get to they got to get back to that. Like get those 5th year guys coming back. And you get Wagner back, you get Strouth back. I don't know about Ashton Craig because that's another ACL for him. But but even if they don't, right? Like you have Sullivan Absher sitting there, you have Gerby Lambert can play, you have Will Black, you have pieces that can come in and play for you. And I know they feel good about some of these guys. So it is what it is. Jacob Paulus says neither Strouth or Wagner is being drafted high. Yeah, like I don't like Wagner. I saw him in the a Dave Brugler's like preseason kind of like rankings for position. Wagner was like the 10th tackle. And I don't even see him as like, has he really improved it? I don't know that he has. He hasn't played bad, but it's not like he's had a meteoric rise or anything. CFP Hurt says Joggy Saw might even stay healthy. God, man, some of it is hard because it's kind of his own doing, its own choice, but it's kind of snake bit. People go on these things all the time. They don't break their arm. It's something that could happen, but doesn't need to happen. Justin ND Sniper says, does anyone else want Notre Dame to stay at 10? The side of the bracket for number 10 looks more favorable than 8, 9 to me. I don't. I want Notre Dame to keep going up because if people then pass you, like you want to give space for if people do pass you, you're not falling like out of the top 12. That's kind of how I view it. That might be the wrong view, right? And analytically, that might be the wrong view, but that's how I think about it. I think you always want your team to keep going up. Keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. This is why you need to play the backups as much as you can. Yeah, because he's talking about Rajon says, do players need to show they can stay healthy to prove their draft worth playing backups? Maybe. Strouth is hard because, he dislocated. Here's the thing with Strouth, man. Like the guy messed up his knee and kept playing to the point where then he injured it even worse. Like he's just a freaking beast. What a beast, man. If you'd seen him on the sideline of that USC game last year, the guy could not walk. Like we were sitting in the press box looking at him. It's like, man, he's not coming back in this game. He cannot walk. Notre Dame hits the ball, out he goes. Go back and watch it. It's apparent on the TV copy. Go back and watch the second half of USC and Billy Strouth not being able to move out there sending Notre Dame to the playoffs. Jacob Paulus says Notre Dame wants a home playoff game, and so do I. Yep. Justin Andy Sniper says, I can see that. I just rather play IU than OSU in the second round. Yeah, maybe. It's just there's so many things that go into it, though. I don't like to do machinations and all those other things. It is what it is. Eric ND says, going to be a lot of monitoring next year. REOL lineup. All 5 could be back, plus Jags, plus Will back. Yep. That's true. Envy Irish says that's why Notre Dame was in such a tight spot when Alton Fisher went the same year, talking about guys leaving early, like Blake Fisher, like left. That's one that just never happened in the past. Never. Joe Alt was. That was. Just like a freak of nature came in and was a top 5 draft pick. It just. That's not going to happen very often, man. That guy was special. Special player. Rajon says, just win, let the committee worry about the rankings. 100%. Just get into the playoffs, man. If they get more consistent, they're a dangerous team. If they run into in Ohio State, that's tough. I worry about any team that has 2 number 1 wide receivers like that. That's difficult. And then you have who else would I really be concerned with? A&M is obviously. Notre Dame, I think A&M's better on offense than they were when Notre Dame played. I think Notre Dame's obviously better on defense. Notre Dame can obviously compete with them, right? So there's that. IU is interesting, just because they're so physical. They've got that physicality thing going on, especially on defense. Plus, they'd have a chip on their shoulder from last year. The in-state thing, Signetti would be off his rocker, talking trash. That would be interesting. So, but yeah, just win and get into it and see what happens. All right, I think we can end it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in this morning. If you like what you heard, hit that like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Whatever it is, we are going live. We'll be back tomorrow for Power Hour with Mike and Jamie. You get Mike's thoughts on this game, plus the Marcus Freeman press conference, get his comments, and then Jamie and I will be back on Tuesday for Hit and Hustle. So, all right, have a good rest of your Sunday. We will talk to you tomorrow. Keep hitting and hustling.